My mom gave my younger sister the money I've been saving for 3 years because my sister wanted to give her boyfriend an expensive gift. I'd been saving up for 3 years, every extra dollar from my part-time job, every bit of birthday money, even the loose change I found in the couch cushions, it all went into this fund. It wasn't a huge amount, but to me, it was everything. I had plans for that money, big plans. I'm talking about finally getting my hands on that motorcycle I'd been dreaming about since forever. It wasn't just any bike, it was the bike, the one I'd been drooling over online, reading reviews, watching videos of. It was freedom onto wheels, a way to finally break out of the monotony of life and just go. But then, in one conversation, everything fell apart. I came home one day after work, and I noticed that my mom and my younger sister, Lily, were sitting at the kitchen table, deep in conversation. That wasn't unusual, they were close. Lily, being 4 years younger than me, was still in high school and had always been the baby of the family. She had this way of getting what she wanted, but I never thought it would go this far. I grabbed a soda from the fridge and was about to head to my room when I heard my name. I paused, not out of any real concern, but more out of curiosity. "I just think he'll understand," my mom was saying. Lily nodded, her expression serious, almost contrite. "I know, but I still feel bad." "You don't need to feel bad," Mom reassured her. "It's for a good cause." My curiosity turned into a sinking feeling. I knew that tone of voice. It was the same tone my mom used when she was about to break some bad news but was trying to cushion the blow. "What's going on?" I asked, leaning against the doorway. Mom and Lily looked at each other, and Lily suddenly found the pattern on the kitchen table very interesting. Mom sighed and gestured for me to sit down. "Okay, so, you know how you've been saving up for that motorcycle?" she began. My stomach twisted. I didn't like where this was going. "Yeah," I replied cautiously. "Well," she continued, "Lily's been in a bit of a situation." Lily finally looked up at me, her eyes wide and full of that practiced innocence. "I didn't mean for it to happen like this, I swear." I stared at her, waiting for some sort of explanation. None came. Mom sighed again, and this time she just blurted it out. "We've decided to give the money you've saved to Lily so she can buy a gift for her boyfriend." At first, I thought I must have misheard. Surely, they couldn't be serious. I mean, this was a joke, right? Some kind of messed up prank. "What?" I finally managed to say. Lily bit her lip, looking genuinely remorseful. "I know it's a lot to ask, but Jake's birthday is coming up, and I really wanted to get him something special. He's been going through a rough time, and I thought maybe this would cheer him up." I blinked, trying to process the absurdity of the situation. "So, you're taking the money I've been saving for 3 years to buy your boyfriend a gift?" Mom interjected before Lily could respond. "It's not just any gift, it's something really meaningful. He's been there for Lily through some tough times, and this is a way for her to show her appreciation." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You're serious, you're actually serious." Lily looked down again, and I could see her guilt, but it didn't matter. This wasn't just about the money. It was about the principle. I'd worked so hard, sacrificed so much, and they were just taking it away like it was nothing. Mom must have sensed the anger building inside me because she quickly added, "We'll make it up to you, I promise. I'll help you save up again, and I'm sure your dad will pitch in too, but right now, Lily really needs this." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. They weren't even asking me. They were telling me, this was already decided. My feelings, my plans, they didn't matter, not compared to Lily and her boyfriend. I stood up, the chair scraping loudly against the floor. "I can't believe this," I said, my voice shaking with barely contained rage. "I can't believe you would do this to me." Lily reached out as if to touch my arm, but I pulled away. "I'm sorry," she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. "I really am." But I didn't care. I was too angry to care. Without another word, I turned and walked out of the kitchen, heading straight for my room. I slammed the door behind me and collapsed onto my bed, staring up at the ceiling, my mind racing. I spent the next few days avoiding them as much as possible. I went to work, came home, and stayed in my room. I didn't want to talk to them, didn't want to hear their excuses or apologies. I was still too angry to hurt. But eventually, Mom cornered me in the hallway. "We need to talk," she said, her tone leaving no room for argument. Reluctantly, I followed her to the kitchen, where Lily was already sitting, looking miserable. I leaned against the counter, arms crossed, waiting. "I know you're angry," Mom began, "and you have every right to be. But I want you to understand that this wasn't an easy decision for me. I didn't do this lightly." "Could have fooled me," I muttered. Mom ignored that. "I know how much that money meant to you. But Lily's in a difficult place right now, and as her mother, I have to do what I think is best for her." "And what about what's best for me?" I shot back. "Doesn't that matter?" "Of course it matters," she said quickly. "But sometimes, as a family, we have to make sacrifices for each other. I'm not saying it's fair, and I'm not saying you don't have a right to be upset, but this is what I felt needed to be done." I shook my head, unable to believe what I was hearing. "So, what now? I'm just supposed to suck it up and pretend everything's okay." One evening, about a week after the initial blow-up, Mom came into my room. I was lying on my bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to distract myself with music. I didn't look at her when she entered, keeping my gaze fixed upwards. She stood there for a moment, hesitating, before finally sitting down on the edge of my bed. "Can we talk?" she asked gently, her voice carrying a note of hesitation. I pulled out one earbud, still not looking at her. "About what?" She sighed, and I could hear the weariness in that breath. "About what happened. About the money." I tensed, feeling the familiar surge of anger rising in my chest. I didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to relive the frustration and betrayal all over again. But I also knew she wouldn't leave until we did. "What about it?" I asked flatly, trying to keep my voice neutral. She took a deep breath, like she was bracing herself for something. "I know you're still upset, and I don't blame you. But there's something else I need to tell you." Now she had my attention. I turned my head to look at her, seeing the worrying etched on her face. "What is it?" "The money I gave to Lily. It wasn't enough," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. My heart sank. "What do you mean it wasn't enough?" She hesitated again, her hands wringing together in her lap. "The gift Lily wants to buy for Jake, it's more expensive than we thought. The money you saved up, it covered most of it, but there's still a little bit more that she needs." I stared at her, disbelief washing over me. "Are you serious? You're telling me that not only did you take my money without asking, but now you want me to give more?" "I know it's a lot to ask," she said quickly, her voice pleading. "And I hate that I'm even asking you this. But Lily really wants to do this for Jake. She thinks it'll make a difference, that it'll really help him." I felt like I was in some kind of twisted nightmare. How could this be happening? How could she even think to ask me for more after everything they'd already taken? "No," I said firmly, shaking my head. "No way. I've already given up everything. I'm not giving any more." "Please, just listen to me," she pleaded, her eyes desperate. "I know you're angry, and I don't blame you. But this is important to Lily. She's been through a lot lately, and this is something she feels like she needs to do. If you just help a little more, we can put this behind us. I'll make sure she pays you back, every penny." Her words were like a knife twisting in my gut. I could feel my resolve weakening, not because I wanted to help, but because I was exhausted. Exhausted from fighting, from feeling angry and hurt all the time. Part of me just wanted this whole nightmare to be over, but another part of me, the part that had been so determined to save up for something I wanted, was screaming at me to say no. To stand up for myself, to not let them take any more from me. But as I looked into my mom's eyes, filled with that desperate hope, I felt that part of me slowly give in. "How much more do you need?" I asked, my voice hollow. Mom's relief was palpable. "Just a little more, maybe a couple $100. I know it's asking a lot, but I promise, we'll make it up to you." I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. $200 wasn't a small amount for me, especially after everything they'd already taken. But I knew, deep down, that if I didn't give in now, this would drag on even longer, and I just wanted it to end. "Fine," I said, barely recognizing my own voice. "I'll give you the money, but after this, I'm done. I don't want to hear about it anymore." Mom's eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you. I know this isn't easy for you, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Lily will be so grateful." I didn't respond. I just nodded, feeling numb. Mom stayed for a moment longer, like she wanted to say something else, but then she seemed to think better of it. She stood up, gave me a small, hesitant smile, and left the room. As soon as she was gone, I felt a wave of regret wash over me. I knew I shouldn't have agreed, knew that I was only going to feel worse once the money was gone. But it was too late now. I had made my choice, and there was no turning back. The next day, I transferred the extra $200 to Mom's account. It felt like I was handing over the last piece of my dignity, the final shred of hope I had held onto. But I did it anyway, trying to convince myself that it was for the best, that this would finally put an end to the tension and the guilt that had been suffocating the house. But the truth was, it didn't, not really. Lily was over the moon when Mom told her the money was enough. She came to my room, practically bouncing with excitement, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you, thank you, thank you," she gushed, throwing her arms around me before I could react. "I can't believe you did this for me. You have no idea how much it means to me." I stood there stiffly, not returning the hug, just letting her cling to me. Her joy was almost painful to watch. I could see how much this gift for Jake meant to her, how much she had pinned her hopes on it. But all I could feel was an overwhelming sense of loss. "You're welcome," I mumbled, more out of obligation than sincerity. The days that followed were a blur of forced smiles and strained conversations. Lily bought the gift for Jake, a high-end watch that she had been eyeing for months. She was so excited, talking nonstop about how much Jake would love it, how it would cheer him up after everything he had been through. I tried to muster some enthusiasm, tried to be happy for her, but it was like trying to light a fire with wet matches. Nothing sparked. The night she gave Jake the gift, she came home glowing with happiness. She couldn't stop talking about how surprised he was, how touched he had been by the gesture. It was everything she had hoped for, and more. But as she recounted the evening in vivid detail, I felt like I was listening to a story about someone else's life, something that had nothing to do with me. And maybe that was the hardest part, realizing that, in a way, it really had nothing to do with me. My sacrifice, my hard-earned money, had been used for something I wasn't even a part of. Something that I couldn't share in, couldn't enjoy. It was like I had been written out of my own story, relegated to the sidelines while Lily and Jake played the main roles. One evening, as I sat in the living room trying to lose myself in a game, Lily walked in, chatting on the phone with Jake. I could hear the excitement in her voice, the way she gushed about their plans for the weekend. It was all I could do to keep my eyes on the screen, pretending I wasn't listening. But when she hung up, she turned to me with that same bright smile she'd worn ever since she gave him the watch. "Jake wants to take me out to dinner this weekend," she said, her voice full of excitement. "He's been so sweet ever since I gave him the watch. I think it really made a difference." I didn't look at her. "That's great, Lily." She must have noticed the lack of enthusiasm in my voice, because she hesitated for a moment. "I know you're still mad at me," she said softly. "And I don't blame you, but I really am going to pay you back. I just need a little more time." This was the moment I had been waiting for, the moment when I could finally ask her about the money. I had tried to be patient, tried to give her the benefit of the doubt, but the more time passed, the more it felt like she was just stringing me along. I had to know where things stood. "When?" I asked, keeping my voice as even as I could. "When are you going to start paying me back?" She bit her lip, looking uncomfortable. "I don't know yet. I've been trying to save up, but it's been hard. Jake and I have a lot of expenses, and I haven't been able to put much aside." My frustration boiled over. "Lily, I gave up everything for you. I gave you all my savings, and now you're telling me you can't even start paying me back. She looked at me with those wide, innocent eyes, the ones that used to melt my heart when we were kids, but now, they just made me angrier. I'm sorry, she whispered. I really am. But I didn't think it would be this hard. I stood up, unable to sit still any longer. You didn't think it would be this hard. What did you think, Lily? That I would just hand over my money and not expect anything in return? That I would just be fine with losing everything? Tears welled up in her eyes, and for a moment, I felt a pang of guilt. But it was quickly drowned out by the anger that had been building inside me for weeks. I'm trying, she said, her voice trembling. I really am. But Jake needs me right now, and I can't just abandon him. Jake needs you, I repeated, incredulous. What about me, Lily? Don't I need my money back? Don't I deserve to get something for all the work I put in? She didn't have an answer. She just stood there, looking like a child who had been caught doing something wrong. And in that moment, I realized that she didn't have a plan. She hadn't thought any of this through. She had taken my money, spent it on Jake, and now she had no idea how she was going to pay me back. I headed straight to my room, not wanting to talk to anyone, not wanting to see anyone. But just as I was about to close my door, I heard Mom's voice behind me. Can we talk? I didn't want to talk. I was tired, frustrated, and emotionally drained. But I knew that if I didn't hear her out now, I'd only be postponing the inevitable. Fine, I said, leaning against the doorframe, crossing my arms. I know you're upset, she started, her voice low and cautious. Yeah, you could say that, I replied bitterly. I'm just a little upset that all my money is gone and there's no plan to get it back. She sighed deeply, the sound heavy with guilt. I understand why you're frustrated, but you have to remember that Lily is your sister. She didn't do this to hurt you. She did it because she thought it was the right thing to do. She thought spending all my savings on her boyfriend was the right thing to do. I shot back, unable to keep the sarcasm out of my voice. She loves him, Mom said simply, as if that explained everything. She wanted to do something special for him. She thought it would help him through a tough time. And what about me? I asked, my voice rising. What about the fact that I worked for 3 years to save that money? Doesn't that matter? Of course it matters, she replied, trying to keep her tone calm. But Lily's young, and she doesn't have the resources you do. She needed help, and she came to us. We did what we thought was best. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You thought the best thing to do was take my money without asking. And now you're telling me that I shouldn't expect anything back. She looked away, as if she couldn't bear to meet my eyes. I'm not saying that. But you have to understand that Lily's in a difficult position. She doesn't have the money to pay you back right now. And you, well, you can earn more. You're smart, hardworking. You'll bounce back from this. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. I'll bounce back. I repeated, my voice trembling with rage. That's what you think. That I should just suck it up and keep working because I can bounce back. Mom reached out, trying to place a comforting hand on my arm, but I pulled away. Honey, I'm not saying it's fair. I'm just saying that you're strong. You can handle this. Lily can't. Because you've coddled her, I snapped. You've always put her first, no matter what. And now I'm the one who has to suffer for it. That's not true, she said, her voice firming. We've always tried to do what's best for both of you. This time, it was just more complicated. Lily was in a bad place, and we had to make a tough decision. Yeah, and that decision was to screw me over, I shot back. Please don't talk like that, she pleaded. We're family. We're supposed to look out for each other. Is that what you call this? Looking out for each other, I scoffed. Because it sure feels like I'm the only one who got the short end of the stick. Mom took a deep breath, as if trying to calm herself down. I know this isn't easy for you. But, you have to trust that we did what we thought was right. We ended the conversation. I realized that no one was actually going to give me my money back. What do you think about it?